One of the most famous battles in history occurred in 326 BCE on the banks of the Hydaspes River, modern-day Jhelum River in Pakistan, when Alexander the Great faced King Porus of the Paurava kingdom. This encounter wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a collision of cultures, tactics, and two legendary leaders. But the question remains, who truly won this epic confrontation? Alexander had already conquered much of the known world by the time he reached the Indian subcontinent. His campaign was marked by a relentless march of victories, and the Hydaspes River was yet another challenge in his ambition to expand his empire. Opposing him was King Porus, a local ruler renowned for his towering stature, courage, and command over his troops. The stage for the battle was set on the flooded plains of the Hydaspes River. Porus held the advantage of defending his homeland, knowing the terrain, and wielding a formidable force, including his secret weapon, war elephants. These massive beasts were a terror to Alexander's men, who had never encountered such creatures in battle before. Alexander, however, was not one to be intimidated. His genius lay in his ability to adapt, strategize, and outthink his opponents. The battle began with Alexander employing one of his signature tactics, deception. Knowing that Porus was prepared to defend his position, Alexander feigned a direct crossing of the river. While Porus was distracted, Alexander secretly led a contingent of his army to a more suitable crossing point upstream. Under the cover of night, he crossed the river with his best troops, creating a flanking maneuver that caught Porus off guard. When the battle commenced, Porus deployed his elephants at the front lines, hoping to break Alexander's phalanx formations. At first, the elephants wreaked havoc among the Macedonian troops, trampling soldiers and disrupting their ranks. However, Alexander had anticipated this and instructed his men to use precision and agility. The Macedonian soldiers targeted the elephants' mahouts riders, causing confusion and chaos among the beasts. Some elephants turned on their own troops, adding to the disorder in Porus's ranks. Alexander seized the moment to strike. His cavalry, led by the brilliant General Conus, outflanked Porus's forces, while his infantry pressed forward with their disciplined formations. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander's strategic brilliance and well-coordinated attacks gradually overwhelmed Porus's army. The battle ended with Porus's forces in disarray and the king himself surrounded. But what happened next is what truly sets this battle apart. When Porus was brought before Alexander, the Macedonian king was reportedly struck by his adversary's courage and dignity. According to legend, Alexander asked Porus how he wished to be treated. Porus famously replied, "Like a king." Impressed by his bravery, Alexander not only spared Porus, but also reinstated him as the ruler of his kingdom. In fact, Alexander granted him even more territory, making Porus a key ally in the region. So, who won the Battle of the Hydaspes? On the surface, it appears to be a clear victory for Alexander. He defeated Porus in combat, expanded his empire, and secured a foothold in the Indian subcontinent. However, the aftermath tells a more nuanced story. Porus, despite his defeat, retained his status and kingdom, emerging as a respected leader under Alexander's rule. In this sense, Porus maintained his honor and position, while Alexander solidified his reputation as a magnanimous conqueror. The battle also marked a turning point for Alexander. Though victorious, his army was exhausted and wary of continuing deeper into India, especially after witnessing the fierce resistance of Porus's forces. This reluctance eventually led Alexander to halt his campaign and begin his journey back to Babylon. In that sense, the Battle of the Hydaspes was not just a victory for Alexander, but also a reminder of the limits of his ambition. In the end, the clash between Alexander the Great and King Porus was more than just a battle. It was a meeting of two great leaders, each embodying the spirit of their respective cultures. Alexander won the day through strategy and innovation, but Porus won respect through his bravery and unyielding resolve. Both men left a legacy that continues to be celebrated and studied, reminding us that in the theater of history, victory isn't always defined by who stands last on the battlefield.